Hello, people. Welcome to another episode of The House of Black. I am your host, of course, Donnie. And today I have a very, very special episode because this one is kind of a surprise of a situation. So, some of y'all may not know this, that I have been dipping into cosplay a lot more often. In fact, I'm working on a cosplay. But at the same time, I'm also doing a few concepts and ideas. And I wanted to be there at New York Comic Con this year, trust me. But of course, the possibility isn't really going to happen, unfortunately, due to financial and travel reasons. But out of all the cosplays I've seen posted online, there was one in particular I have to talk to you about. And it is from a cosplayer that I just found out about. Her name is Kels. Um, you got Kale is her TikTok name, and she did this amazing cosplay of a mix between a superhero and a certain pop star. And let's just say, if you see my TikTok, you've probably seen it. So today I'm gonna have a chat with her. We're gonna get to know her a little bit more, and at the same time, we'll probably just have a random talk. Now, this is gonna be probably an episode that has no structure to it because it's just a last minute thing I had to do for this podcast, because with what I saw in uh, her creativity, I got to give her a hot highlight. So we're going to do this episode on a whim. We'll see how it goes from then on, and who knows if there's anything that we bring up question wise, it'll be on the spot. So with that being said, here is today's episode with me and Kales. I'm just going to call her that because that's what her name is on social media. So, enjoy. So, first off, I want to get to know a little bit about you before we get to the main grain topic of thing, because I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw your particular costume, I was very invested. And then I looked at most of your Instagram stuff, and that you were not kidding when you said that in the comment when I saw the girl Stitch who was talking about your costume for New York Comic Con. And then I saw your other stuff and I'm like, oh, she does more than just that one costume. I've seen several of them. So I'm just like, okay, so this must be a talent of yours that you've had for quite a while. What got you leading down this path of costumes? Because I believe the first costume that I saw that you posted, and again, I creeped on your Instagram a little bit, so I
It's okay.
the Clara Oswald. And I don't know if you can
hmm
see this, but as a fellow Whovian, I have
Oh, yes. Oh, I
the
love
Gallifreyan
that.
tattooed on my arm, and
Yes.
I actually cosplayed as Tenet. I have a pinstripe suit just like Tenet's.
Oh, I love it.
Particularly, yeah. So I'm deep in the Whovian lore just as much as you, if anything. I will say though, my episode, I tell people since I can't pull off Tenet's amazing hair because Tenet's my doctor, I had to go bald. So I tell people, imagine if Mickey fused with the doctor. That's what I am. Because I have to tell people because of
I
my
love that.
color of my complexion in a sense. Well, I mean, there's Dr. Donna, so what can't there be a Dr.
Yeah,
Mickey?
no,
So that's
exactly.
all it is.
The
So yeah,
possibilities are
I have to,
endless.
yeah. So I saw your Clara costume and I was just like, okay, so I guess we're starting there. And then it just worked up from there to all of your other stuff. And I've only seen, I think, two of your costumes where you don't add a little bit of your dazzling skill on it. And I believe it's the Fallout one and then the Princess Peach one, which I'm guessing is a
hmm
Borderlands mixed. Okay.
Yeah, it was
So
a
with both,
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure mashup,
oh,
but
JoJo.
close. Very like
Okay,
same
so it's
style.
JoJo. Okay, no, the moment I saw the makeup, Borderlands came to mind, but I was like, maybe that's what it is, Borderlands, because I seen somebody do that. Unfortunately, it was somebody I no longer associate with who did Borderlands Princess Peach. But either way, it's still awesome. So from going off of there, because it seems like New York Comic Con is your go-to convention since you're
hmm
residing in New York. How long have you been going to the convention?
I started going in 2019. One of my very best
Okay.
friends, he thought I would enjoy it. I went for one Friday and I had no idea what I was getting into. That was my very first cosplay with Osmond Oswald or Clara. She was my favorite companion, so I wanted to honor her a little bit. And I remember I put the costume on and I was like, "Oh, I feel so ridiculous. I've never done this before. It's so foreign when you're not dressing up." for just Halloween. So we went on the train, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this feels so weird. And we got to Comic Con, and the first thing I see is someone on stilts. And just walking around and seeing so many different costumes, and I realized what an amazing creative outlet it is. I come from the creative industry as a profession. I'm a writer, so um, any chance that I get to be creative outside of my job is something that I try to jump on. And this one, I just kind of like I latched onto it so much, and it's such a wonderful way to like flex your creative muscles. And I'm a writer, so anything that I can do outside of work that's not writing is definitely preferable. Um,
Oh,
so yeah,
okay.
that's how it started.
Okay. So so it's a different type of arts that you were interested in that you
Mhm.
were doing before you got into this round of situation about it. Was writing is writing still your passion though, right? Writing still your
Yeah, I still
okay.
love it. I think I just love just creating things from nothing. And I think that's why I gravitated so much towards cosplay, because especially with the ones that I'm able to do mashups of different characters, that's something that I make from scratch and that no one else has done before. And it's more so just the challenge of trying to put everything together in a certain timeline and make it recognizable, but also kind of stay true to myself with all of the sparkles and make it as feminine as I can, and just have a lot of fun with like the dichotomy. I love taking like male characters and gender bending and turning villains like Pyramid Head from Silent Hill or the Joker into beauty pageant girls with big bedazzled swords and missile launchers, and it's just such a joy to be able to do that.
I, I was actually going to bring that up too because I noticed with most of the costumes you've done of them, they are basically pageant versions of them. Was there a particular reason why you wanted to go that theme route? Because it's cool. Like I saw the Joker one, I saw the Deadpool one,
Mhm.
the Pyramid Head one, which is also awesome, and then of course the Jesse one from Team Rocket ones. So those were awesome. Like I love that you incorporate each of those every year for the different themes in the case of it. Was there a particular reason why you decided to do the beauty pageant route for those characters?
Yes, no, there is. I my first cosplay that was after COVID. I knew I wanted to kind of really dig into it because I promised myself I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm not going to wait till the last minute. I'm going to do something really fun, and I'm going to build something with my hands because I'd never done that before, and I wanted to see if I could. And so I was actually at a bar with a really good friend of mine, and I was saying I really want to do Pyramid Head but in a dress. I think that'd be so funny. And he goes, "Oh, like a beauty pageant." And all of a sudden, it just clicked in my head because I think it's such a fun trope to use because you can fit anything in. And it's one of those like
Oh,
you can grab someone from any fandom and make them a beauty pageant queen. And it's
oh,
funny, it's sparkly. It's just yeah, it makes people
oh,
laugh.
oh yeah. I love the variants that you've done for most of them. Like the two in particular that I did not expect on the case of it. The one with Deadpool was one I didn't expect, and then the Shalabal. Oh my God, that
Yeah.
Shalabal looks incredible.
Thank
Oh
you
my
so
gosh,
much.
that Shalabal was just so amazing. If I can pull it up real quick for everyone else to see in the case of it, because Shalabal was um, that's a deep cut in the Marvel universe sense of it. Because I
Yeah.
told people before, I had to tell one of my friends before. I was like, you don't understand. Like Shalabal, not a lot of people know about it unless you read Silver Surfer in the sense of it. So I'm pulling it up the screen. Like the dazzle part of the crown is
Mhm.
awesome, but the fact that you like completely covered yourself in the paint for the outfit look of it looks so amazing. How long did that
Thank
take you to like
you.
for Shallow to do? How long would that Shallow ball take?
This was my hardest one to date. And honestly, the funny part about it is while it was the hardest, it was probably one of my quickest. Because I didn't actually know what I was going to do for it until maybe a week. Like I couldn't decide on something because normally what I do is I'll make a big prop and then I'll just buy a dress, I'll make a crown or make some kind of headpiece. Do something that's really true to the character. And I just couldn't. I couldn't attach myself to a dress. I couldn't attach myself to building a surfboard because I just didn't want to just like carry around a surfboard all day or bedazzle it a little bit because I didn't have time. And then I ended up just like one night a week before saying, I'm just gonna make a dress. So I ended up making that entire garment. The top is made out of warbler. It's like a
Okay.
corset, and I try to make it in the shape of the board to kind of like
Oh,
with the lines to it's like an ode to the Silver Surfer. And then the crown took
yeah,
about
because
like maybe a day. It was very quick.
yeah. Yeah, because see, like I can tell, like the corset's supposed to be the board, right? Like that's
Yes,
supposed to be the board. So yeah, because I see the stripes
exactly.
on it with the threading, but the
Hmm
I didn't know it was a corset. Oh my lord,
hmm
that makes it even more amazing. Like that one is awesome. Like the pyramid head one, I'm gonna be honest. I've seen a lot of amazing female pyramid heads. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've seen so many over the years that
hmm
look so amazing. I've shot one myself actually. There's one that I shot with them, but they've always worn like the dress sort of simulation of it. But yours is a little bit different, I can tell, because of the simple fact of like the prom dress design of it, which is
hmm
in the case of how it's more elegant looking. So I love how that is
hmm
differently, and then the fact of like the stockings that have the barbed wire on it fits so well with the theme of that,
hmm
and then the detail with the jeweling on the sword makes it even better with how you did on and her look of it. But I ain't gonna lie to you, I from when I shoot with models, I always feel bad when they have to wear platform heels or high heels, and I'm just like, I feel bad that you have to be towering over in those boots while you are wearing that. But at the same time, it's so well done. It's so well done. Um, so I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
also
I love the
yeah. So
boots. I'm a boots like
yeah I
I live in platforms.
yeah, you make them work so well that so I got to ask you, like in certain cases with all the costumes that you've done, like whether it's especially up to the one that we'll be talking about in detail later, how long do you usually try to how long does it take for you to map out on what you're going to bedazzle in props work or outfits in the costumes? How long does that usually take? Is that like within the second you know it and then you just start the process, or is it just more of like taking the time until you get everything together in some cases? What
I usually know what my specialty in the beginning was prop making. I always needed like a big launcher, a big sword. I needed something, and I always knew like that's what I'm going to build my entire look around. So, in the case of my earlier ones, I knew I wanted to do a big sword and bedazzle it with like blood dripping. I saw someone do it
yeah.
on Instagram on as makeup, and I'm like, oh, that'd be really fun on a prop. So I usually
Mm.
I build a lot of my costumes around the prop that I'm making. So for my screen queen, my prop was my mask. I made that out of foam and Warbler and shaped it, and I was so proud of it because that was the first time I'd ever like shaped something that looked remotely like the object it was supposed to be.
The fact
Um,
that you made the mask, that's a rarity because most people I've seen who carry a ghost face mask, it's already made, pre-made. There's pre-made bedazzled ones, but the fact that you made yours, that's what makes it even better. Like that's commendable that you were able to put the whole thing together, that you made it yourself in that case of it. Plus I love the fact of like how you got everything incorporated with the bloody black roses, and the dress looks amazing on you in the case of it, and then the crown, and then you just decided the hair would be like intricate for the hood of the ghost
mhm.
face mask. That is genius. I love that you did that because I'm like, it took me a minute till when I watched it and I saw the photo, and when you show and the mask is on your face, I'm like, oh, the hair is supposed to be the hood. That is so fucking creative. I love
Thank you
that.
so much.
Yeah,
I
like
so appreciate you recognizing the details too, because and it's not like I don't want if someone just walks by and says that's awesome, that's so cool, but like in one of my Silver Surfer posts, someone said like, oh, that you made the corset into the board, and that means so much that people see how much like intricate detail, because that's where my love is. I love the little things like the barbed wire on the tights and bedazzling the
yeah,
rose petals. It like that's where my joy comes from because the costumes come together in the details, and even if other people can't see it, I know it's there, and like it kind of helps build the character out. Even something as small as contacts, that's probably one of my
mhm,
favorite part of any cosplay is because you put the contacts in and it's like you're not you anymore,
yeah.
and it's so neat. It's like an instant transformation.
Yeah, and the thing that I love most of the case of it is when it's mapping that out in some cases for certain outfits, which I'm loving. I would love to know, like for you, in the sense of it, do you ever figure out which one of which character you decide to do before you go through the detail on the costumes? In some cases, like I won't lie, the one costume out of your stuff that I actually expected is obviously the Lady Loki, because I've seen so many Lady
Hmm.
Lokis. I'm actually working on one myself, and that's also why I love the detail of your stuff because I I do costume work myself because when I
Hmm.
got into doing photography, I realized when I lived in Arizona for about 8 months, there were a lot of models who were nerds and wanted to get into cosplay. But most cases, I know the photographers in this industry, they pretty much cut corners when they want to get somebody into costume. They'll put them in a Z morph suit and that's it. And I'm like, don't they want the detail of it? So I'm like, if I
Hmm.
make the costumes and they shoot in that costume, they have a cosplay they can wear to a convention if they want to or for other shoots. And I have a photo shoot with them in that costume. I do that all the time. So I like to integrate a lot of that stuff of it. And funny enough, I wanted to bring this up to you because when I saw your particular costume at one point, I was just like, I have to show this, which I worked on my own little thing. I'm working on. So this is actually for a costume. So are you familiar with a little anime called Inuyasha?
I am familiar, yes.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure you know the second or third episode, Yora of the Demon Hair, the character. She carries a shrunken head. It's a red shrunken head,
Hmm.
which is like part of with the Shikan jewel in it. This is that skull for it. And I'm working on Yura as we speak. And that's what got my attention for you. And I'm like, I I need to talk to her because with how much detail she put in her stuff of it, I have to show this and I have to find out how what the process is because this took me about 3 weeks to do this
Hmm.
entire skull because I bought it from a Family Dollar. It was a regular color. I spray paint. I put a coat base, a white base, and then a black coat, 2 or 3 layer coats, then a prime coat, and then epoxy E9000 the shit out of every single one of these. And you can tell there's a couple of them that are falling off that I'm going to probably replace, of course, in the sense of it,
Hmm.
which I'm pretty sure you get that a lot of times.
All the
But
time.
the whole detail of it is this is supposed to be for Yura the Demon Hair because I'm working on sort of a fancy version of her costume in particular because I know it's a skimpy costume, and I said to people
Hmm.
it sort of looks like a dress, so I want to make like a fancy version of like what would Yura wear if she went like out to dinner or to like a fancy restaurant. So I'm working on the details for that, um, and that's what the skull's for. So when I
I
saw
love
your
it.
costume in particular, and I saw the other ones, I'm like, well, I should ask her about those costumes. So, um, like with the process for all of your costumes and stuff in the detail. Sorry, that would be my phone. um,
It's okay.
you said like for in particular, I know for one particular, which I'm going to bring up actually right now because this is the moment that I have to bring up of it. So for everyone else out there who need to know what got my attention, if anything, it is one costume that you did that obviously I stitched into front of it, and it's the infamous Sabrina Carpenter Supergirl costume. Like everything about this costume is amazing. Like the moment I saw the boots, I knew what you were doing. I was like, I that is definitely Sabrina because the boots. Because I'm not gonna lie
Hmm.
to you. While Sabrina is not particularly my musical sense of it, with everything she's been doing on her wardrobe, and because I love fashion, her wardrobe that she's been using for the short and sweet tour has been nothing but immaculate. I love the looks of it and everything. And I
Hmm.
said, what if somebody did like costume versions of it? It was always in my head because she has so many colors of the outfit. And then I hear that I saw that video from the one girl calling you out about your costume, and I'm like, I have to see this. And I saw it, and it's unbelievably detailed on how good it looks. So go through
Thank you.
you if you have to as much as you can. You got to go through. You got to give me the process of what brought this together, what led you to designing doing this, including everything from like the outfit, the boots, and everything. What was the process like to do this costume? Because this is your peak work to the point where like some of my friends who are photographers and cosplayers are even seeing your stuff of it. So like my friend Modern Animator, who's a photographer as well, who I believe was there at the con, he saw your stuff. Lauren DeLorean, who is a cosplayer that I also adore a lot, she saw your stuff and following you. So Go through, give me as much as detail as you can on the process of what led to this amazing costume, because this is a work of art in my opinion.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to talk about this too. Like, I'm so happy that someone wants to talk about the details in the process because I don't get to talk about it often. And I think it's
Hmm.
also because this one took a long, not a long time, but like it took more time than I'm used to. So by the time I get to the con, I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's just a costume because I've been staring at it for so long. But I'm so excited to talk about it. So
Yes,
it started
yes.
with the boots. Uh,
Wow.
because basically what happened is for the past like year, I've been saying, oh, I really want to cosplay Sabrina Carpenter. We have the same last name. We're unrelated to my knowledge, but it's always been funny. And then we're the same size. She's like, we're the same height. So I'm like, oh, it'd be really funny because I feel like, I can throw on a wig and I can kind of be short and sweet. So I've always tried to figure out what I wanted to mash her up with because I couldn't just do Sabrina. I needed to put my
Yeah.
own spin on it. And so,
Yes.
with that, like in the back of my mind of knowing that I really wanted to cosplay as Sabrina, I went and saw the Superman movie this summer, and I fell in love. It was just so hopeful and so filled with joy. And I saw the costume, and I'm like, oh, that's it. It just clicked immediately. And I went home and I ordered the base for the boots. I ordered just like regular red boots. And without knowing what else the costume would look like, I just started rhinestoning. And the cool thing about rhinestoning for me is, like if I start with a prop or I started with the boots here, as I'm rhinestoning, I'm like formulating in my head because
Uh,
it's just so monotonous that like it's very automatic, so your brain can just think and go crazy. So I started trying to figure out how I was going to mash them up. And what elements of Sabrina I was going to bring in to Superman. And there's always a very careful balance because you want both of them to be recognizable, but you also want
mhm.
it to be unique in its own way. So I knew I had to do the boots because those are, I think, part of her main. Just like everyone knows her for her shoes and the
Yes, yes.
hearts and
And that's what I looked for as soon as I heard about it. I said,
yeah.
okay, she's got to have the boots. They have to be
Hmm.
the boots. And you delivered
Yes.
on those boots because, girl, you were wearing the hell out of those things. They look amazing. And like the
Thank
detail
you.
on them with the hearts and everything. I'm like, at first, I was like, okay, maybe she's going to put the Superman symbol instead of the heart. But no, you kept the heart on it. So I'm like, that's good. That's so damn good. But yeah, like I said, her entire wardrobe with this particular tour has been my favorite on the looks of it because I'm like
Mhm.
I'm like she is eating up every look of it. So the
Every
fact that
look.
like it's so good in detail with it, but at the same time like that had to be painstakingly hard for you to just every single gem that you put on those boots in
Hmm.
particular that had to be like because you like from what you said in your caption in the photo like 60K that 60 over
Yeah.
60,000
Around
Lord have
there.
mercy what that many
It could be more too. I
Mm,
kind of stopped counting. Like at first it was I was so because I wanted to know. I always do this where I start, I'm like, I'm gonna know how long it took me, how many stones I put on this, just for like my own peace of mind. And then it gets so far into it. I think I got like I was timing myself and I got like a collective, 8 hours into the boots and then I just stopped. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try and remember. And I didn't, of
oh,
course. But the
think,
boots
think,
alone took me like a month and a half, I want to say, to do because it was like it's so they're pretty tall and I'd get through the bottom and be like, all right, I gotta go to the top now. So and I just kept ordering more and more stones. I was like, okay, maybe I underestimated how
oh,
much is actually going to go into it.
oh, oh, yeah. This is definitely like a costume that's not cheap of it, but like for a boot that you were able to do a month of it. Thank God you took a break. Thank God you took a break
Yep.
because I had the skull alone for me with the 2 weeks that I was able to do that. I had to take break a couple times on that too,
Hmm.
and that's why I was like something in that case of it. I'm just like that had to be like I'm wondering, and when you said how long, I'm like this had to be like more than a month. This is a years of with how much detail you put into this. This had to be more than at least within more than at least within the year because there's no way with how much detail you have put into this from even the top the bodysuit alone, which I'm guessing you had to also put into detail with it too, from like the top corset part of it, the belts, and then the bottoms, And then even the garter, the lace garters and garter belt for the stockings, how much you had to put in detail with that. That can't be a month. And if you're saying you did one boot at least within the month, that had to be more than like 4 or 5 months of work within that. Thank God you didn't do a
I'm
cape with
gonna,
that, because I know I saw
I
couple
know.
shots with the cape, but thank God
Mhm.
you didn't do a cape. Oh man, that would
Oh,
have been more on that
I
sense.
wouldn't have been able to survive a full rhinestoned cape. It was like by the end of it, it was so funny. Because I made the little cape pieces and I was like, you know what, we're just gonna
Mm-hmm.
scatter them and hope for the best. It's fine.
Yeah, thank God.
It'll
Yeah,
be what it is. It was
yeah.
about like 3 months of rhinestoning on and off. And I would I'd paint something and then while that's drying, I'd go into rhinestone. And there were some 2 or 3 days where I wouldn't touch a rhinestone. And then the next day I would be like, working remotely from home in meetings with my camera off, rhinestoning as I'm listening to work. So it's kind of just like finding that groove. But I have like this pattern that I follow with rhinestoning, and it's nothing big, but it helps me kind of map out. Like it's very, the way that I do it is, it's not professional at all. I literally like take bits of different sizes of rhinestones and put them onto a plate, and then I take my little I mix them around, and I take my little wax pencil, and then I just kind of go however I feel in like flower patterns or just like making sure everything's kind of mixed up. And I think that's how you get the dimension within the stones is when it's not like two of the same stones together in a grouping. So it kind of looks like it has been hand placed, which I love. I want them to look like they were hand placed because they were, and my neck hurting is proof of that.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that also with the detail in that sense of it with the outfit, because it wasn't until I looked at one of the props you were making of a nuke bomb, I think it was, and I saw it in
Mhm.
detail with how the sizes are. And that's what makes this even more special with these looks, specifically with this one compared to the other ones where you just a piece of the outfit and a prop. With this one,
Mhm.
particularly with the outfit, full outfit, you had to use that specific detail. And I love that you, like you said, you had done that categorized thing of it, because I had to do that with the skull at one point of it, but even though they're all even gems, but at the same time of it, like the mosaic sense of it is what makes it so good about like honestly, like if you ever retire this thing, this needs to be in a museum. I swear to God. Like this is the
Thank
type of thing
you.
that needs to be in a museum because it's that good. It's I would hate to see something like this to be destroyed or tarnished because it's too damn good. Like the pricing alone on how detailed on that is like that. This is not a costume that's cheap. This is a costume that I would see you pulling out every once or twice a year, if like anything, because you need to put work in it. But at the same time, if you're not wearing it, it needs to be put in a glass display on a mannequin in your room somewhere to show off of it. Or if some by some chance Sabrina sees it and she wants to have it displayed, some cases that's the type of the design with this costume. That's what it is. That's what it needs to be because you put too much work into this. You did that, and that's what out of all of the costumes, this one in particular is my personal like favorite still, and that's why when I heard about it, I was like, I have to talk to you on this because that is detail, that is dedication, that is intricate work of it, that is process, that's more than a long time of it. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this, and you should be damn proud of the result and the reaction you are getting for this. On
Thank
everything.
you.
This is 100% amazing. Like the
Thank you
with
so
this
much.
alone, it's going to be hard for you to top this. Whatever you if you decide to do something even close to this next year, I like I've only been to New York Comic Con 1 year, and that was 2015. My first time in New York, first time there. I saw a lot of things and stuff there. I got to experience it there. I didn't get to see everybody there, but I did get to meet a couple cosplayers I've been wanting to meet the years. I got to meet a lot of celebrities and stuff there, of course. But I didn't get a lot of shots there because I was so new around this environment. So I was like, I don't know what I can shoot and stuff of it. But
Mhm.
seeing a costume like this, I wish I had shown up that year. I said to myself, somebody is going to come through and it's going to be that one costume that's going to be just out of all the stuff I see that I'm not going to be able to see of it. It's that one. And this one, I swear to you, I if I had the ability, I'd be heading to New York just to shoot with you wearing this. Because I swear, I'm mad that I did not get to. It's moments stuff like this I would love in my portfolio because of the fact of how good you look in this. Like I would go to town and having you wearing that for a photo shoot. And no hate to the photographer who shot you, who did an amazing job on that. It's just personally for me, it's moments where costumes who look incredible like yours with this one that I regret that I wish I was able to have experienced seeing that in person to get shots of it, and that's what it is. And you should be patting yourself on the back for that because this is a work of art. It really is. And for something of a merging of two things we never would see together of your love of comic books and then some coincidence to a pop singer that you have some coincidental similarities too, and then like again like everything adding on to it, like the hair you looking good into it. Like at one point I was just like I couldn't even tell that was a wig. I couldn't honestly tell that was a wig. I'm terrible with wigs. I'm terrible with wigs, and you kind of fooled me on that sense of it. So like you made me
This one
believe that
worked
you are
out,
matching it
this
100.
wig.
It, and yeah, and
Oh,
it did, and I'm just
it,
like, this is I'm, like it literally is take my breath away. I'm just like I can't stop looking at these because I
thank
throughout the whole time
you.
before anything I've looked the whole time. I'm like I don't know how I'm going to top on that, and I'm like maybe I need to start looking at come ideas. I'm brainstorming stuff for my own, and I don't want. I'm like I'm brainstorming stuff of my own, but at the same time I don't want to steal from you because I'm just like because the current costume that I'm working on,
No,
Yura is
take the
one.
mashups.
Yeah, cause see, like with Yura, that's one project. Another one that I'm working on
Mhm.
is Resident Evil 3, I believe it is, with Jill Valentine.
Mm,
So it's the Nemesis
mhm.
costume, the blue top and black skirt, something close to that. Sabrina Carpenter. I was considering something in that case. I'm like, how could I do that? But I'm just like, let me see if I can do the standard costume first, and then I'll switch it up to that style of it. Because
Mhm.
that that might be something in my head of it, but at the same time, like I did not ever think that this was a thing that I was expecting because with everything else that you've done in your other costumes, my thing was is like, oh, it's probably gonna be Supergirl like in a prom dress or something like that. But
Mhm.
no, like the fact that you switched it up on that sense of it. Now, I do want to ask also before I go back to that costume and brag about how incredible that is. Before, like I said before, you had worked on that bomb for a nuke.
Mhm.
If anything, was that just something to just try out or test on anything, or is that for a particular costume? Or
That was for I did a Lucy cosplay for Fallout. I love the show, and I thought wouldn't it be funny to make a mini launcher? And I didn't think I could do it, and I ended up being able to do it. And the funny part about it is that I brought that as like that started as my prop before I even started the launcher. And then I ended up really just not using it. I took a few pictures with it. It was the first time I like shaped foam in that way, and I was so proud of it because I didn't think I would be able to like get the seams right. And the funny thing too about the rhinestoning is it's really started because I made some props and the finish just wasn't that good on it, and I was like, well, how can I hide that? And I used rhinestones, and so now it's kind of like it's a fun finishing touch for me, and I kind of consider it like my calling card. Most of my cosplays have some kind of sparkle in them, but it's
oh
also
yeah,
very much so a crutch for when I don't have to worry about having a smooth paint, or I don't have to worry about like covering seams too much or making sure everything's perfect because the rhinestones kind of take the attention away from all the imperfections. And I just kind of like fell in love with that idea. So it takes pressure off me, but it's also like rhinestoning is a very fun, mindless, therapeutic activity for me, and it's a challenge. So I try to do more and more. Like the Sabrina cosplay was probably the most that I've ever rhinestoned, ever, and it was the first time I'd never had a prop too, which was very funny because I was taking pictures. I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I always have like a launcher or a sword or a gun or something in my hands to
yeah,
be able to use. And it was so funny because I got to the con and I turned to my friend. I'm like, what do I do? I don't know how to pose in
yeah,
this.
yeah,
But yeah, no, the launcher came or the missile came about because I wanted to do a launcher, and then I ended up loving the launcher more than the missile. So. It is what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, but at the same time, like I was going to ask you about that therapeutic part of it because at the same time, like with
Hmm.
the stuff that you've done with some of the costumes for those in therapeutic sense of it, like some people, it's like, oh, it's just relaxing for me, if anything, case of it, and then there's some where it's like it's stressful in the sense of it to the point where like I don't want to touch them anymore because I remember you had said earlier on that sense of
Hmm.
it. I'm like I can understand on some point of it. It's like you don't want to mess with anything in that sense of it because in my case, in the case like for me, I with this type of stuff is more therapeutic for me more than my photography. I do enjoy photography, but sometimes crafting is also my best case of it because I do a lot of
Hmm.
fashion stuff in that case of it. So that's always the sense of it. Plus, with costumes like these, I would say like now that you have the base of it, you should add more to it. Get a damn microphone and a microphone stand to add to it. Did you have use of that?
Yeah, for
Have
sure.
a pair of handcuffs like she does in her show, like with that case of it. Like
Hmm.
add on to that. Like everything is a possibility with how that turned out with this costume. The possibilities are endless in that sense of it. It's costumes like that you can always add to that makes it even better
Absolutely.
than it was before of it. So I definitely would say like incorporate if that come the case of it. But at the same time, like I wouldn't like the only time that this type of costume would not be useful is if you're going to a Halloween party. That's the only one.
Yes.
You don't want to spill or anything or like if you like depending on like how much you party or such, you don't want to have anything on
Oh yeah.
alcohol or food or anything on that sense of it. That's the type of
Hmm.
costume. No, that is for particular moments like this convention in the sense of it. But yeah,
Oh,
I
for
I
sure.
personally I personally feel like this is worthy to get a studio shots and professional like studio shots to get in the case of it. This is a one that you would bring back, adding other stuff to it and having people wear it in case of it. And then after you do it like 2 or 3 times, then you can give it a break, wear something else, and then go back to it once you know it's died down a little bit. Because you don't want to have to
Hmm.
keep recurring on that case of it and wear the whole thing. Because see, I've only done 2 costumes. I've done the Doctor Tennant version, 10th Doctor from Doctor Who, and then I did Lewis from Left for Dead. But I've done Lewis
Mm.
in a row so many times every year. People know me more for Lewis, so
That's
I'm
funny.
like, I got to switch it up. I got to switch it up every once
Hmm.
in a while. So I'm just like, no, I got to switch it up. So that's what I would say. Like, add more to it over the years as long as it's
Hmm.
intact. But at the same time, don't have to wear it all the time of every year,
Yeah.
but you can wear it like twice a year or 3 times a year and then take a break and then go back to it after a year or 2 years afterwards.
Hmm.
Now, for the body part of the suit and the corset, the thing that has my interest in this is the with the corset, I know with how stiff it is and the bone fabric and stuff of it, it's structure enough that it sits. The
Hmm.
bottoms, the shorts are anything because I don't know if you're double layered or you're wearing one set of shorts under it in some cases. With I feel like it's a lace material that has to be tricky to glue because of the fact of how mesh it is. So
Hmm.
how were you able to find a loophole to keep that stiff so you can wear them without having to worry about one of the jewels falling off and such? That's my
Well,
curiosity.
the funny part is, I did have jewels fall off. The bottoms were, they're dance shorts actually, and a lot of people came up and
Okay.
they thought it was like a one piece, but I knew I wanted something to be easy to put on, like not have to worry about basically not taking it off once I put it on unless I'm ready to take it off for the night. So
Mm.
I ended up getting just red dance pants. And for the lace part of it, I started with strips of lace that I was going to sew on, but I couldn't get them to lay properly. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, what if I got some boy shorts? So I ended up getting just some lacy boy shorts online, and I overlaid it, like I put it on top of the shorts
Yeah.
themselves, and I glued them with fabric glue, and I bedazzled over it. And if I could do it
Okay.
again, I would do stiffer shorts because
Yeah.
these ones I like pulled on, so I had to like jump from a second story window to get them on every day. But I like shimmied them on and I hear the rhinestones like falling off, and it was definitely like I if I were to do this again, I would do it a little bit differently. Um and make like I wanted to add a zipper, but I didn't have time to add a zipper, so we kind of just worked with what we had. But it's really just like I'm more of a problem solver than a planner, I would say. Most of my props and my like most everything that I've learned from cosplay is making mistakes. So I just make a mistake and I know how not to do something and I find ways to make it successful. But this one, literally, I ordered lace, it didn't work. I ordered the boy shorts, those worked better, and then I was just like, I have a week left, I'm gonna make it work. And it did. It stayed on. The glue was pretty sturdy. I used gem tack for all of my rhinestoning. And the corset
Yeah.
was stiff, but not stiff enough that I like felt like I couldn't breathe in it. And then I
No.
stopped doing the rhinestones at a certain part on the top so that the bottoms would and the belt would seamlessly kind of fit and it would look like one. Um,
Yeah.
but uh but yeah, it was really just a lot of problem solving and trying to make things as easy as possible within the time frame that I had because I underestimated the amount of time it would take to bedazzle the boots.
Yeah, because I was like with the shorts, that was my curiosity because the fact of like with how lacy they are, which fits the
Hmm.
aesthetic of her outfits that she wears on stage, because it's a lot
Hmm.
lacier her outfits are. But the fact that you were able to find the loophole of wearing the shorts underneath, and that's what I was curious. I was just like, are those shorts underneath those,
Hmm.
or is that like a dance belt or some cases? And I wasn't sure, so I was just like, maybe that's how they are because I know a friend of mine also does the performance wear, so she knows a little bit more on that sense of it. But I have no knowledge on that end of it because I've never worked with dance outfit stuff like that before.
Hmm.
But at the same time, like I knew it wasn't a full body suit. I could tell with like certain parts that you had it where like the belt would meet between the two outfits. It's a
Yeah.
three-piece set. But the fact of
Hmm.
the mesh material on the boy shorts was the challenge that I was concerned about because I'm like, those jewels can't stay on with that mesh because that glue's gonna go right through and
Yeah.
it's gonna stay on there. But the shorts
Hmm.
laid on top of it and the glue on there, like it'll stiff onto the shorts and it'll help also to
Yeah,
secure the shorts on with that bottoms too. So that has to be like
exactly.
a win in the sense of it. But that was the thing that was more interesting for me because like I said, with that type of material, it's really hard to glue anything with that type of material because it's
It
runs
is.
all over on mesh of it.
Hmm.
It's a fucking mess of it. It's the point.
Hmm.
It's the glue doesn't stay on long enough. If the glue is running on, you're not going to be able to keep it stiff on there. That was my
Hmm.
curiosity because I was like that I know that material's lace, but I can't tell if it's all lace or if it's just within the cuff of the shorts
Yeah.
because it's so dark on the material for the bottoms
Hmm.
in particular. And that's why I was like curious on the fact of that because at one point of it, like when you can see on the shorts of it with how they are on you, it looks like the material is like you sew lace on the cuffs of it more than the whole material being lace
Hmm.
itself because you really can't see the lace with the jewels on there. You just see
Yeah.
more of the lace on the cuffs of the shorts, which still works out great. It's so great on that. So that's why I was just like on how good that looks within it. That's just that, like I said, peak on that, really peak on that, and that's why I'm like,
Thank you.
it fits so well with it. It just and again, you wear it so well, you look amazing in it. In the same case of it, but I also, I also need to know like that can't be that couldn't be more uncomfortable than in anything, or was it very snug for you to fit when wearing during the day?
To get it on, I had to like shimmy. That was the hardest part of the day. Even getting it off was easier, but putting it on was hard. It took, not hard. It took like a couple seconds to shimmy it on, and I had to like kind of pull it up in pieces so I wasn't stretching certain fabrics and everything. But it was honestly probably one of the most comfortable cosplays I have ever done because normally I'm in like a dress, a long evening gown where I'm having to like pick up the train and holding props and everything like that. This one, I like it felt so secure. And I it like everything was like fitted to me and the only thing that was a little uncomfortable was the shoes, but that's, to be expected with the platforms. So, I did that to
Exactly.
myself.
Like again, you said yourself earlier, you like I like wearing boots. I'm like, you sure you
I
ladies sure do,
know.
because I'm just I
Yep.
mean it I ain't saying you girls don't look good in them. I'm not saying that. At the same time, I get that, but I've always said to women like I feel bad for y'all when y'all wear heels. And I've said this
Hmm.
story so many times but to you, I know I haven't said it in the case of it, but when it comes to shooting with models, fashion stuff, or in certain costumes that were pertain wearing heels, I tell most women, like, listen, if it was up to me, most cases you would be either wearing nothing but socks or you would be
Hmm.
barefoot the remainder of the shoot. Because I feel bad every time y'all have to wear heels because it's almost like you're torturing your freaking feet. I'm
Yeah.
no foot doctor, but I know that arching is absolutely painful to the point where I feel like every time you lacing up those heels, I hear Jigsaw from Saw just coming up to you, listening in your ear, just like, you want to play a game? I'm just like,
Yep.
Jesus, like, oh my
Hmm.
goodness, like, I'm like like the skin hurting, like the bunions you got to deal with the case of it, like the muscles are pulling in the sense of it, like everything on that complicated sense of it. And pardon my autism because I'm that detailed on the sense of it, but at the same time, like that's always the thing with women in heels. I've said, I'm like, I get the reason for wearing them, I get the height
Hmm.
reason, I get the attraction reason, I get the confidence wearing them. I understand that, but personally, for me, if it was up to me, you would either be in socks or barefoot. That's my thing of it most
I have
cases.
been in sneakers all week because my feet have still been recovering. I normally they don't bother me that much, and I always go towards platforms because if you notice, like the arch isn't as bad as regular stilettos or
Hmm.
like pointy heels. So I like live in
Of
platforms,
course.
and they normally are fine as long as I'm not walking too much. Which on a day to day, I'm not standing for like 8 hours at a con. But on con weekends specifically, I have my little stool and it's like this little portable stool. And every hour I was like, I need to sit for 5 minutes just to give my feet a rest. That my feet were like up on a pillow every night trying to recover and get ready for the next day. And by day four, I'm like, I am very happy that I don't have to do this again tomorrow because I'm getting too old for this.
Yeah, yes, yes. Take a break with those, please. For the love of God, take a
Yes.
break with those.
Yes.
I can't see you wearing those like the whole time of it because I'm like, in between that moment when you're wearing that costume, there has to be a moment where you're like, let me just sit down and zip out, and you're sitting with the heels next to you, and you're just in your socks with unmatching socks and
Yeah.
such. That,
Yeah.
that had to have be a moment in between of it. So, but again, like with that particular costume, that is a costume you got to wear again, but you got to add more to it. It has to be a
I'm
moment where you have to wear that
excited.
again.
I want
Um,
to. And sorry, excuse me, I'm plugging my phone
yes,
in because it's losing battery. But
yep,
make
yep,
sure there we go.
yep.
I would
No,
love to do more with it. Um,
mm-hmm.
I'm also thinking like, would it be fun to do a Batman Sabrina or or do different like pop stars? Like I always think Chappell Roan and Ivy go together really well. I really want to
Yes,
do Charlie XCX as Bratwoman instead of Catwoman. I think that'd be very funny. But like how we can do
oh,
these spins because I think it's such a fun it's like I feel like when I started getting more into the pageant girls because I'm like, oh, I can do anything with this. And now I'm going into this Sabrina-fied like pop stars and I love Sabrina. I think I'm gonna keep doing her more, not as Superman, but just see what else I can come up with. That would be funny. Because it's so much fun and I'm like amazed by the response that I've gotten from everybody.
oh
Especially just
yes,
people saying like, oh, this made me laugh or this was very like this is so funny like this is so
oh
creative.
yes,
Those are the best compliments that you can get. And I'm sure you understand like as a creative person when someone says like your idea is so fantastic, like that's literally the best thing that you can ever hear.
yes, yes. So I can, if I can, because I love those ideas. I love all of those ideas. If you're gonna do that in the sense of it, there's three particular characters that I think that would be awesome for you to pull off in the sense of it, and I can just
Please.
feel free to take those ideas if you do in the sense of it. If you do Sabrinify them in the sense of it. So the first one, Rogue. You got to do one of Rogue. I think Rogue would be
Yes. Oh
amazing,
my
especially
gosh,
since Sabrina
yes.
at one point put out a country album at one point, and
Hmm.
she's done songs with other country artists, including Dolly Parton. So I think a Rogue would be incredible to do it, and then
That would be
incorporate the
great.
hair with the same color tone. That would be so great.
Mm,
Green and yellow in that type of look would be so incredible to pull off, like the gloves and
that'd be so
everything.
fun.
So yeah, that's one of them.
Oh, I love that.
Another one that I feel that would work for you, if anything, is a the Batgirl one was the one that you said before. I know that Batgirl is a great one too. I think that's another one. But if you're gonna do like a Batman or Batgirl one,
Mhm.
Cassandra Cain would be more of the sense of it, unless you're planning on doing a redhead version
Yes.
of her. Because
Hmm.
either that, otherwise, I don't know how much of the Batman comic books you have. The closest the blonde would be Stephanie Brown, but that would be
Okay.
purple and black and yellow. That's
Hmm.
her costume. So it would be purple accents with that for Stephanie Brown if you decide to go the blonde route with her. So that was another one that I was thinking of. I was just like, that one I totally see her could do that one. Cassandra's my character, my girl for out of the
I love
Batgirls, but for Barbara,
Cassandra.
but but
Yeah, that'd
but
be so
I mean
fun.
for black, but unless but again like black sense of it. Now this X one, if you could pull off the hair, that's going to be the challenge of it. It's a merging of two characters, one with Sabrina and one which is a character icon, Elvira. And
Oh, that would be amazing. Oh,
if
I
you could
love
do her,
that.
if you can do her hair, that's the
Mm,
only thing that would make it work. And then you would have the belt with the
hmm.
what's it called, with the knife on it and the heart, and you have the corset, so it's already the girls are already going to be girling when you wear
Hmm.
that. So we already make that clear. But the hair is the most important part for her outfit.
Yep.
If you pull that off, is the hair. That's what you got to do. If you can do her
Oh, that'd
hair
be
with
so
the wig,
fun.
that would be incredible. Because I'm like Elvira and her. That's the closest thing to Halloween of a Sabrina you could
Yes.
do. That's what would make it so freaking cool.
Oh,
But you
I
got
would
to make
love
sure,
that.
yeah. But you got to make sure it's good Elvira like. Otherwise, you don't
Oh,
want
yeah.
people to assume that you're Amy Winehouse with it, because
Yes.
the hairstyle is somewhat similar,
Yes.
but her wardrobe is a little different. Because that's the
Hmm.
one thing that I'm concerned about if you go down that route for that idea. Is something of that case of it is with something in the hair, in the sense of it, that gives off Amy Winehouse, which
Hmm.
is not bad of a person, a singer, but I feel like to Sabrinify Elvira would be awesome. And
That would be
then
amazing.
I just had another one in my head just now. I'm trying to remember it because it was uh oh, so another one. Now, if you're not going to do just comic book characters and other iconic figures, maybe a Cammy one would be not bad for Street Fighter. Like I
Oh,
could see the green.
the joy of this is that it can be anything. And that's why I love,
Exactly.
I love these suggestions. They're amazing. I heard someone else say
Yes.
like, oh, it'd be fun to just do the Justice League, but Sabrina-fied. Someone on TikTok
I
called
mean,
it the SCU, the Sabrina Cinematic Universe, and I just
yes,
about like melted. That's incredible.
yes, exactly. And like always like incorporate like just not to the outfit but their wigs as well with
Yep.
that look of it in some
Hmm.
cases. So that would be awesome. But yeah, you're not wrong. Like it can work with anybody, but if obviously that seems to be the niche that's getting you the most attention, I would go
Hmm.
with that too, if anything. But like all these are ideas, again,
Yeah.
just spitballing. But
No, I love
if those
them.
are any ideas, that the case of it. But I would love to see what you do next on those case of it. Like hell, you could even use the other ones that you've already done and just re-Sabrinify those, like
I
the Deadpool
could.
or the Loki,
Yeah.
Lady Loki one.
Can you
Like those
imagine a
also can be like wicked.
Sabrina-fied Silent Hill, like Sabrina-fied Pyramid Head? That would be
Yeah, I mean
so
that.
funny.
Jessica Negri. I don't know if you know who that is, but she did pink version of Pyramid Head
Oh,
with Meg Turney, so it's
I
not
love
like
that.
that's not off limits. So
Yeah.
yeah, like that's obviously the situation about case of it. Um, so with that being said, in the case of it, I also wanted to ask some on the question of your nerd lord of it. This is not me like seeing gatekeeping, but my curiosity in the sense of it is more of with superheroes in the sense case of that one.
Hmm.
So is Superman your go-to most cases of it, or was it just because of the movie that's like, oh, that's the one I want to in the sense of it? Are you more of a Marvel or DC girl?
That is a great question. It's so funny because I've always been a Marvel girly, and then, and I loved, I've been a Batman fan too. And I think after I saw the movie, I like the Superman movie, I kind of went back to my DC roots and re-looked at them in a new lens. So I want to say I'm like kind of straight down the middle because I just kind of I like what is like bringing happiness and joy and fun in that moment. And I feel like Marvel has its moments. I One of my favorite shows on the face of the planet is Agatha All Along, which is a Marvel show, and it's absolutely incredible, insanely well done. Um, and then like on the DC end, yeah, I loved Batman. I'm so excited for Supergirl. I mean, I loved Superman. And yeah, I want to get more into it, I guess, with DC. I think this was my way to get into it a little bit more. Just and while
Mm,
I'm doing the costumes, I always try to be as well informed as possible on those characters too. So just trying to like tap into the personalities and the goals and the lore and just making sure I'm just like kind of embodying it and respecting the characters. I like to cosplay characters that I mean I started with villain because I love the idea of like the misconstrued villain, you know, the ones who are misunderstood. And I always kind of gravitated towards them because I found them the most interesting. And as a writer too, I find a lot of the scripts where the villains are misinterpreted are just phenomenal. So I kind of went towards them. But it's funny because I feel like I've always been a villain girly, and then I saw Superman and I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe I got to get back into the heroes, you know?
that makes complete sense because I was that way on the Disney end of things of it. So I used to
Hmm.
work at Disney World for 2 years, and I was not a person that liked villains in the sense of it. In fact, my favorite Disney villain is Jafar, which I hated
Oh,
him when I started out,
hmm.
and it wasn't until I started growing more into the Disney movies that I came to like him to the point where the beard, as you can see here, is from partly influenced from him. The fact that I wear a lot of red and black and gold in my stuff of it. I have two Loungefly backpacks of Jafar that I have time to time of it. People associate me with Jafar, so that's my character now of it. So, and I love the fact that you mentioned about, like you always see the irredeemable sense of the redeemable fact of some villains are very interesting in the sense of it.
Hmm.
If anything, so I want to actually talk about your writing since you had mentioned that at one point in the case of it. What's your niche of sort of writing? Do you write a particular genre, or is it like just in general writing, or is it art journalism, or what is it that you write time to time of it? What's your particular in writing?
So professionally, I do fashion and beauty editorial. So I'm in that like marketing
Oh,
advertising world. But personally, I'm a huge horror thriller fan when it comes to reading and writing. And I actually started my writing journey out of college with children's books. So my honestly, like my biggest dream is to write a children's book that takes place at a convention that incorporates cosplay because it's kind of like weaving my two loves together. I think it'd be so, so, so cute and so fun. But I feel like I have a lot of different area. Like I do the fashion and beauty writing for my job, but my guilty pleasures are always like horror and thriller and mystery novels. But I love to write children's books, so I kind of like am all around when it comes to what I read and
that
write.
that's pretty awesome. Funny thing is I actually was thinking about writing a comedy on Comic Con in the sense of it because
Hmm.
I'm more of a comic person. I have like a written script for a horror, but it's a sort of a one shot short story. But there's one script that I'm writing because I don't do a lot of screenwriting, but I've been writing on the sense of it, and it's if you ever seen Clerks with Kevin Smith, the proprietor of
Yes.
Comic Cons all over,
Hmm.
like a Comic Con version of Clerks in a way. Like I'm like two guys working in a clerk booth. They're going to the Comic Con and they're seeing all the stuff that happens in conventions and stuff like that. So that was what I had in mind. But at
I love
one
that.
point, I was saying I'm surprised no one has done a horror movie about Comic Con and stuff of it.
Right?
So I hope you stick with that. I really do. That would be awesome.
I think that's such a great idea. And I feel like cons, I was talking with someone about this recently, how it used to be like, even when I first started going to conventions in 2019, which really wasn't that long ago, they were still very much like the nerd central, a nerd in a good way. You know, like it's you're going home to meet people who have similar interests to you. And I feel like it's gotten a lot more mainstream, which not isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I think one of the good parts is that Comic-Con is more widely known by a lot of like my whole family knows about Comic-Con since I've been doing it. And I feel like even at work, people know what Comic-Con is and they're so excited to see costumes and cosplay. And it's become such an approachable entertainment event that it'd be so like I agree with you. I don't know why anybody hasn't done anything on it yet because I think people know exactly what it is, especially with San
Yeah.
Diego and New York being such big events for the East and West Coast.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've told people before, like it's gotten to a point where now like everybody knows it mainstream wise in a sense of it
Hmm.
now. Like most of the people in the sense of it. So they're just like they're not sure about stepping in or not in some cases, and they're asking me for advice about it when they've ever gone to a con and such. And I'm just telling them like experience of it, case of it, like
Hmm.
to take in the moment that sense of it. What made you decide to like you finally going? Was it always something that you wanted to do? Like back in 2019, you said you went to New York.
Hmm.
Was it at one point like you were just like, okay, I'm just gonna go, or was it just like a point you were stooling on it but you weren't sure, or was it the sense of just like, oh no, I know about this. It's just I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I
Hmm.
don't have the travel sense of it. Was it any of those reasons or
My friend who introduced me to a Christian, he has been going for, I think I want to say like 15 or 16 years at this point. And we had become friends over Doctor Who. So like a year after, he said, "Oh, Comic-Con's coming up. I think you'd really enjoy it. And you can dress up as Clara." And it was so foreign to me. I knew of Comic-Con. I knew because I loved watching the panels on YouTube of just the new releases and all the interviews,
mm-hmm.
and so I knew like kind of what it was, but I'd never been, and I wasn't sure if it would be for me because I had never really been in that space. I'd always been a fangirl on my own, because I kind of come into fandoms late. I found I like The Walking Dead. I came in late. Doctor Who. I started watching when I was in high school, I think, and that was during like towards the end. Well, when was it? I didn't get into
Depends.
Doctor Who until like the end of Matt Smith, basically. So,
Okay. Okay.
uh,
So you came in around Capaldi era. Okay. See,
exactly. And
I
it's
was
funny.
in
Sorry,
no,
the
no, I was just like saying no, I was just saying the fact of like I was reiterating what I was saying because I was like
mhm,
my year in college was around the Tenet time, and Matt
mhm.
Smith was just coming in, so I was just finishing college when that happened. So I completely get you on that sense of it. So yeah, I figured Matt was your doctor, if anything, which is why the
I
car
do.
costume
I
thing. But
know.
yeah,
I love Matt.
yeah.
I'm definitely, I think I'm a more of a Tennant girl than a Matt Smith
Oh,
girl, but I do love like 11 is such a great. I just like he's so awkward, and there when I was watching it, I was very much like trying to find my place and my friends, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to be when I grew up, which is such a funny thing to say when you're like I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but you're kind of like you're in this place of I don't know what I want to do. And so seeing this like really like awkward,
yeah,
fumbly,
that makes
so
complete sense.
endearing
So,
character on
but if
screen,
anything,
I just gravitated
I
towards him. I
know
thought he was
that
so fun.
when it came to your story about Doctor Who,
Mhm.
I can relate on that sense of it because I didn't know what I was doing either when it came to growing in my sense of it because I'm still in that thought process and I'm past that age of it, so that I can relate to that too. Um, but but yeah, like I'm shocked that somebody's tenant because most cases I've run into mostly Smith people. I rarely run into
Mhm.
somebody who's a tenant girl. So I tell people like tenants are my people. Like that's my guy.
I know. I
And
love there's just it's like like a confidence about him that I love. But I also like some of my favorite episodes were Tennant episodes. I mean, and ironically, one of my favorite episodes of all time, Doctor Who, Don't Blink, because I'm a
oh,
horror girly. He's like
so
in
it's
it for what,
Angel.
5 minutes at the end, but
Angel.
yeah, yeah. Someone did a Weeping Angel at Comic Con, and it was amazing. It was so good. I'm
Obviously.
like, oh, I don't know, maybe I should. That'd be
Yeah,
fun. But
obviously.
yeah.
I told somebody the fact of like when it comes to uh his with who I had to deal with the fact that I wanted to do another version of Tenet, but it's hard to find his suits. That was the only issue of it. So
Yes.
I want to get back to your writing because what's interesting for me because at one point I used to do songwriting and I used to do I'm trying to get into film writing at myself of it.
Mhm.
What was it that got you interested in wanting to write in the first place? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, the moment you said you did fashion writing, I thought, and this is rare because I don't know how many men watch it. I was thinking Andy from The Devil Wears Prada. I was literally thinking that because I'm like, you're in New York City, fashion. You are a writer. That's Andy. I'm like, you sure you don't have a boyfriend who's a chef making you grilled cheese
Yeah.
sandwiches? I'm waiting for that.
That's so
I'm
funny.
waiting for that.
Um, Yeah, I mean, I love Devil Wears Prada, so sign me up.
Like the sequel, I already told people like, yeah, I'm watching the sequel.
Oh,
But at the same time, I'm also
100%.
telling, yeah, and then I tell people that when it comes to him, when it comes to that movie, I said that was where my Emily Blunt love is, because I told people, I'm like, that's the one time that Emily Blunt was attractive
Yes.
in my either, because she was giving me, because I'm alternative. I'm alternative in the sense of it. You can tell from, obviously, from
Mhm.
the tattoos on my arm, and then the nail polish. But I'm alternative. I'm an alty guy. So I seen her with dark eyeshadow. I'm just like, okay, that girl. If she walked into my local goth night, I would so be swooning over to her. John Krasinski, you lucky bastard.
Right?
I'm like, it's weird to see.
Honestly.
It's weird to see her. Every time I'm like, I could be Dwayne and be friends with her. I see her all the time with him. It tells you right there. But at the same
I
time,
know
like,
they're
his stories are there.
besties.
Yes, exactly. So I'm just like, yeah. But yeah, like that's what I thought of when I heard you said you got into writing, and you said dip into fashion. So I'm like, okay, so she's a fashion person. That's definitely up my alley. So what is it? So what was it, fashion that you wanted to get into writing for it too, or was it something else that started you in writing? What was it, the process like for you when it started writing?
I love that question. So I started writing when I was young, and it was kind of just like an outlet for me. And it's funny because when you're a kid and I was reading stuff that I wrote when I was like 7, and it's nothing, astronomical. I'm not a prodigy by any means, but when you're getting positive feedback from teachers and parents, it's like, oh, you can write, then you kind of lean into it more. And I think that's what I needed. So just throughout my school experience, I've always been a writer. Even when I was like, oh, I want to go to med school, I got to college, I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. I'm going to major in English instead. But what actually happened was I developed a love for playwriting because I started taking theater classes, not because I wanted to do acting or playwriting or anything, but because I was interested in like the media backstage part of it. But I had to take theater in order to major in it. So I ended up taking a playwriting class. I fell in love with it. And next thing you know, it's kind of like what I'm specializing in, and what I got my
Okay.
degree in. And I graduated, and I think anyone who graduates with an English degree can they know the pain of like, what am I going to do with this? And I ended up getting a job. I moved to New York on a whim, like 10 years ago. I got a job off Craigslist as a content writer for a medical company. So I was writing packaging for like CPAP machines and disinfectants, and oh yeah, it was riveting work. But one of the parts of my job was they also had a children's toy company, and they wanted to write books to go with their toys. So that's partially what they hired me to do, and I fell in love with children's book writing. It's so much fun to visualize and think about what the page is going to look like, because there are images that go with the words that you're writing, and there's something just so interesting about not knowing what's going to come, but also being able to like kind of see it in your mind. But from there, I went to jewelry, and then from jewelry, I went to fashion and beauty, and it's something that didn't feel like I didn't think it would be that natural of a path for me, but I just kind of slowly fell in love with it. Beauty first, and through beauty I got into fashion. And that, I very much so am like I'm an all black girl. I love wearing black. My most of my accessories are where my color is. My shoes, I'm definitely a shoe person. My mom calls me Carrie Bradshaw.
Yeah,
But when it
that
comes
is
to like fashion, I'm very like, nope, all black. Very like, you know, street style is more my vibe, very low key. So I resonate with your alt personality, I like, and your style. I think that's great. That's definitely where I lean to. And I think,
yep.
funnily enough, that's why when I do my cosplays, I always go like ultra femme, because that's part of me cosplaying as not me, I guess. Like that kind of adds an extra element of me being out of my own element and out of myself and into someone that's completely new that I created by myself. So, yeah.
Okay, no, I didn't know that it was more like in that sense of it too. That's the other reason. So I guess that's also the reason why with most of the costumes, with the pageantry stuff of it, also along with the Sabrina Supergirl look of it, it's more of like in the sense of difference from your fantasy sense of it compared to like your reality of your sexuality. Am I correct on
Hmm.
that? Because I know a
No,
lot of
absolutely.
cosplayers who are difference in their sexual preference, but
Hmm.
when they're not genetically femme, but they are willing to be femme for only in
Hmm.
costumes only. Like I have two or three friends, non-binaries, but they can do a femme presenting costume. And I love
Hmm.
that they're willing to do that. And it's like, this doesn't change who I am sexual, but I'm just helping in the fantasy allure of that. But embracing that
Yeah.
sense of it. So that was my thought when you said that at first of it, but I wasn't sure on your sexuality. And again, it's something that's, if it's not something you want to talk about, that's completely fine. But at the same time of it, sometimes I know some people in cosplay, they do that in a sense of it. And I find that very interesting because it's the point where it's like, you don't see that part of them when they're not that way, but when they're in
Yeah.
costume, it's very different, but it helps in the fantasy in that sense of lore of it. So that's awesome to know that.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
I love that you are able to do that, even though you could have fooled me because with much of what you have in that case of it, I see you this, cis presenting, but I'm not sure. I mean, are you cis presenting or are you a certain sexual preference?
No, I mean I'm definitely more on this is I'm a bi woman, I'm queer. So I
Okay.
like to tap into a more masculine energy, but I always have like something I like a balance, right? That's always where I feel like my sweet spot is.
Okay.
So like at one point I had like super short mask hair, but I'd wear kind of more femme stuff because I love to balance it out. If I like now I have longer hair, so I like to wear like more baggy clothes because I feel like it's like that balance kind of makes me really happy and that's why it's so much more fun to dress up in all rhinestones because I normally absolutely would not do that. You know, I have like shoes or like a purse or something that I like to have accessories pop, but for the most part, I'm very straightforward with the way that I dress. Very much like dark colors. I love graphic tees. I love cargo
Yep.
pants.
Yep.
I'm like all about the super edgy like platform boots and
Yep.
spikes and like sometimes even a harness if I'm feeling crazy,
Uh,
uh but very much like that's my signature style, if you will, and being able to throw on a blonde wig, which I've never been blonde in my life, so it's very fun to pretend to be blonde,
yeah.
and like
Exactly.
the perfect blowout. I have curly hair, so I usually just wear it like this most of the time. So
Hmm.
to be able to like experiment, and I think that's honestly such like that's the beauty of cosplay is you're free to be whoever you want to. I also have like one of my very close friends who does cosplay and got me more into the world is non-binary and they're like androgynous so they can do a femme cosplay and the next day they can do a more mask cosplay and it brings them so much joy and happiness and I love like I'm so amazed by how people can transform and the freedom that you have to do that and like the cosplay community especially is such a supportive open group of people and I've never felt out of place or like I'm doing too much or doing too little. I've never felt like that. And especially, I still feel like I'm a little bit of a newbie because I only really do New York Comic Con and I'll do Anime NYC sometimes. But being able to like go to these cons and see familiar faces and get so much support and so much love and give it back too. It's such a beautiful community. And I feel like a lot of people hear cosplay and they think it's a little bit cringy and then you can
Hmm.
kind of open their eyes to this world of it. No, it's honestly like one of the most supportive communities I've ever had the opportunity to be in. And it's
Yeah.
just so exciting to see other people's successes because when
Yeah.
they succeed, the cosplay community succeeds.
Exactly. And it's the right people in that community because I've been in conventions. I've gone to most conventions for the last 20 something years, and I've gone to a lot of them, in most cases around the East Coast area, in some cases. And I've always told people that same thing. I said, when you weed out the toxic, popular ones that are trying to claim
Hmm.
fame and all that such of it, and you're getting to the nitty gritty of like what you enjoy about it and what you love about it and what you like to
Hmm.
see from other people and that positivity that you get from that. It's a wonderful feeling. It is. I've said the 2 times I've only cosplayed, I had so much memorable experience in that. And it's such a connecting community that you don't have to worry about all the necessity of the real world in some cases about it. And I tell people before, especially queer-based cosplayers, I tell them before, like especially queer-based ones who do a lot of femme, I said, by technical standards, you being a queer, and especially whether you're non-binary or you're androgynous in the sense of it, you're basically doing drag when you're femme
Hmm.
presenting. You're basically doing
Hmm.
drag, and you're doing good drag. That's the
Yeah.
part of it. Because I've told people before, I'm like, and I love drag. I love the interest of it, despite me being cis. I love the queer community. I love that environment, being around that environment as an ally, and I love the fact that that
Hmm.
queer community, specifically in the drag queen sense of it too. Because I'm like, if I had just been younger in that case of my own binary, because at one point I know my bisexuality curiosity was when I was in high school until I
Hmm.
got older and I just was more cis sense of it. It's still some points of it I do tend to have a few qualities in the sense of it, but I don't present myself that way. But at the same time, that community is an add-on to the cosplay community that's so wonderful that I
Hmm.
love, because I love meeting queer cosplayers. They're so amazing. They're so positive. They're so much give you so much radiance of good energy, and it's just always great just talking to them, especially whether it's fashion aesthetic sense of it to
Yep.
the sense of like with what their costume is and the lore that they're enjoying no different than I'm enjoying, and I love that. So I'm like
Hmm.
I one of my friends, cosplayer named Elk, she does these amazing cosplays of One Piece characters. Her go-to a
Hmm.
lot of the time is Zoro, the green hair, because that's her actual hair color she has most of the time. And she's just like you. Sometimes she's like in hetero and straight clothes of it. She's more masculine, wearing
Hmm.
wardrobe, baggy pants and shirts. Sometimes heavier makeup, but still like platform boots and such like that, like alternative goth baddie and such. But when she's willing to put on them outfits and cosplays, and like Boa Hancock is the one that I first shot her in, and she looks so absolutely stunning as Boa Hancock. Like she's done her twice, I believe. This year I shot with her. She's wearing like a gold bikini, because there's a convention I
Hmm.
go to every year, Colossicon in Sandusky, which is in Kalahari water parks. So it's like swimsuit convention. Everybody's
Oh,
in
yes, yes, yes.
so it's
Hmm.
like everybody's in swimsuit versions of their cosplay. And she does one where she's going in a golden bikini. I'm like, I'm shocked that you're wearing that, which that's something you would not wear. She's like, yeah, this is not something I would wear on a normal day. I wear this
Hmm.
for the costume. And I'm like, I get that, but
Hmm.
at the same time, you look amazing in it. But at the same time, like supportive of that. Like I love people
Yeah.
in that community sense of it. So like for you to have that in that sense of it, that's why I'm like, that's also what I noticed now, knowing on you with your on your background of your sexual preference of it. It also helps with why your costumes are so damn good in a sense of it. Because I've said the most people I've seen who have always looked femme presenting stunning in their costumes tend to be the queer based ones, without
Hmm.
being offensive. Not saying that cis
Yeah,
women
no,
haven't done that,
absolutely.
but those ones, they stick out the more for me, and I noticed that sense of it. I just don't sometimes don't want to bring up the question of like, are you
Hmm.
queer? I don't want to say that and sense it, but at the same time, like, but you look really good too. But at the same time,
Yeah.
so yeah,
It's
I
it's
love
funny
that,
you
and I love
say that
yeah,
too,
and I
because
love
like
that too. Yeah, but
and
yeah, yeah,
it comes up. Like I met so many queer cosplayers this year, more so than I have in the past. And I think it's because like I'm looking for it now. You know, I want to build that sense of community too, but I get so excited. I saw two cosplayers, and it was Ariel and Vanessa, and they were they were married, and they were having so much fun, and it was just like it made my heart burst because um I feel like not that people weren't, open. I think everyone's been open for a long. I mean, I would hope that they'd feel comfortable enough to do that, but I feel like this year there was something different. Like there was not only is there pride in your costume, but like there's pride in your identity, and you own that.
yeah,
And everyone's so supportive of that. And I feel like we also have a lot more queer media that's coming up, and I know I mentioned it before, but Agatha All Along is a very like it's Marvel's first lesbian kiss. It was
Yep.
amazing, and I
Yep.
saw a lot of Rio Agatha cosplayers this year, and it made my
Yep.
heart happy because it's like I know why you're doing this, and even if you're just if you're not queer and you're just an ally, that's still amazing, and that you still like support shows like that because I think supporting that and cosplaying is a way of uh almost like telling the fandom that that you vibe with them, you know, and like telling the companies who make that no, these are important stories that are being told, and they're so impactful that people want to become them for a day and show respect for that. And I think there's something so incredible about it. And also too, one of the reasons that I love to go ultra femme with the cosplays is I want women to know that you don't need to be like in a male lens to succeed as a female cosplayer. You know, you can like I joke like the Sabrina cosplay was for the girls and the gays and
Yep.
it's like it's true. I did it. I mean, I did it for everyone because I want to make people smile and laugh and feel creative and inspired too. But it's also just like to the girls like I see you and we're all girlies together and
Hmm.
I think a majority of, I mean, I had positive experiences all around this convention. I really didn't have any negative experience at all, but some of my favorite were with women, just being like, oh my gosh, this is like, I'm such a big Sabrina fan, or there were other Sabrinas around, and we see each other across the space and be like, ah, I
Hmm.
know you. And
Yeah.
it was just so, it was so wonderful. And I hope that young girls coming into the cosplay community also know that like they can be creative and they can have fun and they don't have to live in this like male lens of cosplay. It's not it's not a man's world anymore, which is great. And like it's all the men are a lot they're so supportive. Like they're
Yes.
so kind and considerate
Yes.
and they want to see you succeed uh and it's just really lovely to see like the women come up and I had a daughter come up to me this year and the mom came up too and she said she saw your bedazzled um Deadpool last year and she wanted to bedazzle a costume and come this year too. And like that's the stuff that I'm like, oh, that's it's just women inspiring women and queer people
Yes.
inspiring queer people.
Yes.
And like the men who support it are amazing and it's just like all around such a wonderful community.
That's so great. I'm glad that that case of it for that too for because I'm like I that's what I noticed too. That was the other reason was when you mentioned about the girls and gays. I'm like I saw that case of it, but at the same time of it, I'm glad. That's the one thing I'm glad about too is that you can honestly say as a queer based person that you had good experience with men who, in that sense
Yeah.
because that's in this day and age with how this community is sometimes on that unfortunately that I
Hmm.
get it. There's a lot of men who unfortunately make situations that were makes it uncomfortable for an experience for any cosplayer, femme or queer based femme sense of it. And I don't want to have you and every other person in that association deal with that, which is why I tell people I'm always going to be on the side of the girls and gays more than my own
Hmm.
gender because of the fact that with what they have dealt with more than what we men have dealt with. We've dealt with only a fraction of a lot of times in this, especially in this particular community. I dip into this community as well as the wrestling community, and I see it all in both ends of it with women and queer people, and I try to do my best to break that stigma. But at the same
Hmm.
time, I hope that you guys would not have to deal with that the danger of that experience or anything of that negativity. And I'm so glad that you didn't have that, especially in New York of all places, because
I
that's a 50-50
know.
thing. That's a rarity in New York
Yeah.
because your first thing you're thinking is, oh, there's going to be some people that's just going to be just
Hmm.
offensive. Like one of my friends, Hellspawn Cosplay. I think he went 2 years ago. He dealt with somebody who was being a pervert there during a photo shoot.
Mm.
I'm like, typical things happening in New York
Yeah.
in there. And I'm like, but
Yeah.
it's rare when a year that somebody can say, I had a pleasant experience. I didn't have to deal
I
with any creepy
know.
men.
No,
I
I'm
had,
I'm so lucky. And because
yeah.
I know there are people at the con who didn't have that experience. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
I have my handlers, my best friends, Christian and Joel who come with me and they're always very protective and I'm sure that they kind of stave off a lot of the awkwardness. But even
Yes.
other photographers, I noticed like there were people posting like, please avoid these photographers, like we're not associated with them and they're not doing, like
Yes.
we noticed that they're doing this and that. I've had women come up to me before I go to a certain area, other cosplayers, and just say like, hey, just beware, this one guy's a creep, he's like going up people's skirt, whatever. So
Yes.
we still look out for each other, and there are a lot of safeguards. I had a great year where I didn't have to deal with any of the bad experiences that I have in the past. And I know again, like I'm lucky. I'm sure there were other people who didn't have
Hmm.
that same experience, but I think if anything, I would hope that me having positive experiences only goes to show that the community is really looking out for each other, and the men, the women, like everyone is that we're all trying to keep each other safe, and uh just like even at the con, the whole, cosplay is not consent. Every
Hmm.
photographer that came up to me, they before, even if there were like, four or five already taking pictures, they'd wait to get my positive consent before they take a picture. And those interactions are so quick that you can't really have like a thank you so much for doing that. But for all of the photographers and just the people who do that, it really does make such a big difference because it leads by example. And I really like strongly noticed that this year, and I'm
Thank
really
you.
grateful for all the effort that people put into that.
Thank goodness on that, because me as a photographer, like I've told women and people in career before, that's the one thing that I'm hoping that changes in this community more. We've had
Mhm.
so many moments where many of the photographers in this community be outed for their unfortunate, dangerous situations that they've associated with, and that was the one thing I
Yeah.
made sure that I don't want that case of it. And I'm so glad that everyone was respectful and professional with you on that. That makes me feel good as a photographer, because I'm like, the last thing we need is somebody ruining it for the rest of us in that community,
Right.
and especially on that aspect. And I don't want you to ever have to deal with that situation about it. I know I'm not that type of photographer that in the case of it anyways, because I can vouch for that along with everybody who
Hmm.
I've worked with over the years. But it's always a constant situation where I'm like, okay, this guy, I know who his work is, but I would hate that it be outed that he's a creep with a
Yeah.
camera. And I know a lot of
Hmm.
times in conventions, bigger ones like that one in San Diego, there's a lot of guys who come in there in the case of it. So I'm so relieved you didn't have to deal with that experience. That makes me feel so good on that case of it now. So now I'm hoping that if there's any other chance, I either find a way of getting back to New York myself, or at some point next year I see about the results of the Comic Con. I know for a fact that is a case of it. So, two last more questions before we
Yeah.
wrap this up in a sense of it. Now, I know you said New York is the only one you've gone to other than Anime NYC. Is there any
Mhm.
particular other cons that you probably would love to go to that isn't in New York, maybe, or that you hope to go to in the future? Or because I know San Diego is probably
Absolutely.
going to be one of them.
San Diego is a big one. I'd love to do that. I'd love to do Anime Expo in LA, Dragon Con, I think MomoCon my friends are going to.
Okay.
Emerald City. I would love like, and I haven't traveled a lot within the US. I really have only stuck to the East Coast. I've gone
Okay.
to California like one time when I was a kid, so I would love to like make trips and see the cities that they're in, and MegaCon. I love my first convention that I've ever been to was when I was 13, and that was Star Wars Celebration.
Oh
And it was
wow.
like that was I it
Wow.
was mhm.
That
I
is
got
a
really
huge
lucky.
one. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
no, it
I've
was
never even gone to
massive.
that one. That is
It was
huge.
so
That is
much
not a
fun. And
small
I like
con.
it's not, and I had no idea what I was in store for either.
Oh my
I loved
gosh.
Star Wars as a kid, and my friend in middle school, she's like, "Oh, my brother's friend isn't coming. Do you want to come?" So, my very first like, I mean, I was in a Star Wars t-shirt, but my first picture like with cosplay is just me standing in front of two stormtroopers when I was like 12 years old, and it was such a great experience, and it was like otherworldly for me, and to be able to go to New York Comic Con after that years later and experience it as an adult it was the same magic. And so I think going to new cons, it would be fun to I mean, I joke like a lot of these conventions are cosplay networking events too, because you meet new
Hmm.
people, you see how they make, I mean, there's so many amazing costumes and they inspire you, and Just like as I saw some pageant girls this year and last year, I've been seeing them pop up every so often, and it's really cool because my friends are like, you inspired them to do that. Just as I saw like a rhinestoned piece of armor at my first year
Mm,
at Comic Con. I'm like, oh, that'd be so fun to like add a little bit of sparkle. So people inspire people, and yeah, I've noticed more Mandalorians that come in. My one of my first years at Comic Con, there was a Mandalorian and she's incredible. She's on Instagram. She has it's the Mandalorian, but like a Puerto Rican Mandalorian.
oh yeah, I've
So it's
seen
all
that.
the Puerto Rican flag. It's a work of art, and it's such a
Yeah,
celebration of culture. There was
yeah,
someone who dressed up as Bad Bunny this year, and
yeah.
so one area of the con was just like they were playing Puerto Rican music and
Mm,
dancing and celebrate, and it's just like such an amazing thing to watch. So, but just like those types of things. Now I've been seeing more Mandalorians pop up. I saw Sailor Moon Mandalorian and
of course.
like a Pokemon. It's just people are doing more iterations, and just to
Hmm.
see the creativity in person is it's astounding. People are amazing. Like
Yeah,
people, and to hear that like they're like, oh, I'm a teacher. I'm an elementary school teacher. We're like
yeah.
I'm an executive assistant, and they're dressed up in the most elaborate costume you've ever seen in your life. It's so much fun. I love those videos where they're like, what's your name and what do you do? I was in one this year, and there was the one guy cracked me up. He was dressed as the nun, and he's in HR, and it was so fun. Like it's just those like people are so cool. People are awesome and
Yeah,
so creative. And when given the opportunity at these conventions um it's just it's seeing people flourish, but I definitely want to go to as many as I can. I feel like New York Comic Con has been incredible, and I'm so lucky to call that my home convention because I'm
yeah.
local. So being able to experience other ones and other parts of the country and all of that is definitely like that's my next step for all of my conventions.
That's awesome. It's funny enough, like when you mentioned about the fact of like with the other convention sense of it, and then the fact of like some of these cosplayers who coming in here that detail the costume and then they're doing regular jobs. My friend Modern Animator, who I mentioned earlier, he also does that sort of thing. He'll have people have a whiteboard and they write down their job, their handle name, and what they're dressed as, and their job off the cosplay sense of it. So they do that a lot. He does that a lot of times in his
Mhm.
videos too. So that's one of the coolest things about that too, is people doing normal stuff in case of it. If I I'm if I can put a little input, if anything, if you had the time and such, it would be awesome if you were ever interested to make the trip over to Ohio ever sometime within the summer for Colossal. It may not be as big as New York Comic Con, but it would be a nice
Yeah.
experience if that comes to a point. But if that does, if that's ever an option within the summer next year or whatever, give me a holler, because that may come to a point I may be you might spot me. I've gone to that con for a little more than 10 to 15 years. It's my go-to home con because I told people that's the con I've gone to the most of the years of it. I've only missed 2 years because I was not living in the States. So and I shoot, and I of course I know my work speaks for itself, and you'll know that when you see my stuff on my social media and everything. But if there's any suggestion that you ever decide you want to go to one that's a little bit more in the summertime, that's for your Kenshin, I would like to say, if it's an option to come to Sandusky. I mean, plus you can always go to Cedar Point right after, because we're not that
Very
far
true.
from Cedar Point.
Hmm.
So there's always that option too. So I mean, if that's
Very good
ever
option.
something, yeah, if that's anything, if that's one that may be on your radar sometime in the future, let me know, because I would love to work with you.
That's
Because obviously,
amazing.
I would love to shoot with you. Like I said, it doesn't have to be your Sabrina Supergirl if you can't bring her, but any other variants or any other looks that you have that is bedazzled that you can bring with you. I mean, hell, if you bring a bedazzled swimsuit cosplay, that would be awesome to pull
That would
off.
be dope. That'd be
But
very cool.
but
I
yeah, but
hate nothing is off limits for me. I'm looking
exactly.
at
Like,
literally every con. I just want
yes,
to meet people and be more immersed into the community.
and
So like
and you
that's yeah.
and
Mhm.
you should definitely do that. You should absolutely do that, because I'm still in the range of doing that myself whenever time is convenient for me because I've told people before, like this year was supposed to be the year I was supposed to go to a Ren fair. I've never gone to a Ren fair before. I'm hoping to go to
Oh,
one
yeah,
in
me
the future.
neither. We should
Yeah,
make a
I
goal to go to a Ren fair at some point.
exactly. Well, we do have a couple here. We have one in Ohio, the Renaissance Festival. If you're lucky to get the tickets for that, that one is here in Ohio, and then there's one in Indiana, and then there's one in Maryland, I believe. So the one in Ohio, I know it gets the most attention. That's the one. It's just you got to get the tickets sooner than later before
Yeah.
then. Otherwise, but yeah, I've never gone to a Ren fair, and I've wanted to go to one. So that's always an option too. Maybe if you had the time to make the drive down here to Ohio, we could go to one, the Ohio Fans Festival. That's always an option too. But I'm more welcome to it. But again, whatever you decide on that end of it, in your safe case of it. So, but yeah, just if it comes to the point, colossal sense of it. So, okay. So the last question I have to ask you in the sense of it is, and I'm trying to make this a frequent question for everybody. Now, are you a particular comic reader at least, or are you more of reading more outside of graphic novels at the moment? Because
Um, it's funny, my favorite comic, and I own every issue of it, is actually Squirrel Girl, the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
okay,
So, I own a lot of her comics, and I'm trying to get more into that world, just because it's amazing. I love like online comics too, and graphic novels and stuff like that, but it's on my list of things to dive deeper into.
okay, okay. So, because I'm like, I was curious about what you're currently reading, because most cases with some people, especially for people who are comic purveyors, that I like to say, like, is there something you're currently reading? Because I know the last person, they're reading a lot of archive stuff from Jason Todd because that's what he's a fan
Mhm.
of. And for me, like I've told people, like at the moment, I'm digging into Catwoman. That's my girl. Like I love
I
seeing the paint.
love,
And I've
yes.
told people before, like I'm currently working on Catwoman stuff. I've done like 5 Catwoman shoots with several people, and they're wearing
Mhm.
Catwoman costumes that I made. So I'm just like, I
That's
every time I
amazing.
can do it. So yeah, but yeah, I was curious on the sense of it. So like, Squirrel Girl is your girl of it. So
Squirrel
yeah,
Girl's my girl.
yeah,
I have been diving deeper into the Deadpool comics.
okay,
I actually last year, since I did Miss MCU, one of the comic writers came up to me and they were giving away to their like the first, I think it was like 50 all weekend to Deadpool cosplayers, limited edition comics that they had done just for the con. So I read that and I loved it. And then I started diving a little bit deeper into all of the Deadpool lore
okay.
because previously I was very much a Bucky Barnes Winter Soldier gal. And then I learned about Squirrel Girl. And what a jump that is to go
Yeah,
from
that
the
is a
Winter
jump. Cause I'm
Soldier to Squirrel Girl.
yeah.
But she's so funny. I want to cosplay her one day just because we're again, I love cosplaying the short girls because I'm 5'1" on a good day. So being able to like cosplay Sabrina Carpenter, I want to do Squirrel Girl, and just get those because I feel like I can really embody it. But um, but yeah, if you have any suggestions about what I should read next, I want to kind of dive away and do something
Um,
new.
I personally feel like that's a good one. If anything, um, the reason why I say that is in the case of it because depending on what your range is of it, if the Marvel or DC, Deadpool is always a good option since of depending on the case of it. Actually, I almost got to meet the co-creator of Deadpool earlier this year, but the line was super long, and then I had to leave because of a family emergency, so I was disappointed on that. I had Rob before he blocked me on Twitter. He had posted some of the stuff that I had posted because I had owned the first issue New Mutants that Deadpool first appeared in. And then I went to see like early screenings of most of the movies with Ryan Reynolds. So that was the case of it for me. So when it comes to Deadpool, like there's always good to go with that. And then when it comes to but when it comes to outside of that, I think we covered everything because, like I said, if anything, the one suggestion, like I said, is I because I'm more of a DC guy of it. I think
Hmm.
anything like I'm a vintage comic person. Most of the stuff that I like to read is mostly the older stuff. That's my thing. So my personal thing is I would say if you are interested in, especially you're looking forward to Supergirl in particular, because we'll use
Hmm.
that one for the perfect example. There's a couple of Supergirl comics that would be awesome that I think you should definitely look into. Anything that deals with that would be more lore to the animated series of Superman in that case of it. Those are more the ones that I would prefer. I think those came out around like 99, 2000, and 2001,
Okay.
if anything. Those would be the good ones. They're more in the teenage angst of it, but I think those are the perfect ones for Supergirl because I
Yeah,
think those
I mean that's
'cause-
who she is,
yeah,
right?
because that is more of the era of Supergirl that I feel like they're trying to channel for the movie in that particular,
Hmm.
even though the
Oh,
costumes can be a little bit
100%.
different. It's a little
Hmm.
bit different. So, but yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. So yeah. Um, so I think that's pretty much it. So I know you had stated like you do have a TikTok, but I'm pretty sure you said Instagram is more your go-to, right?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I'm still trying to get my bearings on. I mean, I've been watching videos on TikTok for forever, but I've always been a little bit camera shy when it came to making videos. So
Okay.
I think what I'm gonna try and do is do like process videos. I want to do a couple of just like me putting on my silver makeup and how I did the like how I layered everything and same with Sabrina. So I'm gonna get into it, I promise, soon.
Honestly, like if you had the time in the process of it, I say jump into it with the Sabrina
Hmm.
costume and do a couple of videos. Like there's so much material with her that you could do with Sabrina. Like it's out there, and you will get enough attention as it is. The fact that you have a Sabrina cosplay by technical standards, use that if you can to blow up your platform in the sense of it. Like to the
Yeah.
point, like I would not be like I've seen 3 trends using her music still
Hmm.
even now. So like that's always the case of it. I would love to see you pull off some stuff with that costume, if anything. Like if anything, but the process that's always a good thing too because I know there's a couple of cosplayers who I know who have done several videos on TikTok showing the process of that, and I'm hoping to do the
Hmm.
same thing too. Like the last one I did was I don't know if you're familiar with The Mask, the movie with Cameron
Oh
Diaz and Jim
yeah.
Carrey.
Yeah,
So
yeah, of course.
so there's a particular outfit that Cameron Diaz's character wears. I actually replicated that costume. Yes, I replicated that costume, and it's a particular costume because it only briefly shows up in the movie. It shows up twice, and it's a scenario where Jim Carrey's character is getting his car and he's getting kicked out of the nightclub. That particular dress she's wearing in that scene in the movie, I actually replicated that dress. So now I'm just looking for
Oh my
somebody to wear it
gosh.
so I can paint my face green if I have to.
Yes.
But yeah, like I went through the process of making that. So I did a video
Hmm.
on that process of it. And I'm doing another one soon too for my battle vest because I also do a lot of battle vest for my goth stuff and punk stuff of it.
Hmm.
So that's always that case of it too because I've had to do 2 or 3 of those if anything. But sometimes I'm talking like random stuff, political stuff of it, sense of it. But yeah, I will still put people on to your TikTok if anything, but your
Thank you.
Instagram is where most of your stuff is.
Yeah, that's
Um,
where a lot of my pictures
yeah.
are.
So is it just those 2 places in particular, right?
Yeah, just those two for now.
Okay. So I will make sure that put those on there if anything.
Thank you.
So yes, and I'm hoping more will come out of this if anything else. Well, I want to thank Kaylee for coming on and taking the time out to come talk to me and have this exclusive interview because I wanted to jump on that because I have a feeling that because of this cosplay, she's going to be doing it for quite some time. And I hope she does. And also, I hope that eventually we'll get to work together in the future as well. You can definitely check her out under her name of it on Instagram. All her social media will be linked, of course, on the bottom below in the descriptions. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, you can also check this out, of course, on Spotify and iTunes and all that. So it will be up on everywhere digital streaming platforms is. You can definitely check her out as well. She has a TikTok. You can follow her if you want to check that out too. Of course, and while you're at it, check out my TikTok, which I will be posting most of the clips from today's episode on TikTok for Donnie Black. Also on my Facebook, on my Instagram page as well. Of course, you can check out all my other social media as well as Twitter, Blue Sky, and also you can check out my Instagram for my photography as well. And of course, speaking of that, you can check out my work at drymedia.format.com as well as most of my Dry Media social media for all your photography needs and check those out as well. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. This has been your camera wielding extraordinaire, Donnie Black. telling you, hopefully, we'll see you in the next episode. And as always, thank you for watching the House of Black. And until the next time, later days.